Hello, Black Phillip here with another totally unscripted and unedited video, and I wanted to make a video about the Tolkien movie, and this is a movie that I had made the subject of my last video, and I just saw something on my phone which sort of confirms this, well, not confirms, but points towards the suspicions that I had before about this Tolkien movie. So, apparently, the Tolkien Estate did not approve, or they did not approve of the Tolkien movie at all, and it looks like that they are in disagreement with Fox Searchlight and to a further extent Disney about this movie. So I read this article on IndieWire. There's another article on People, and I don't know so much about IndieWire, but I know that People magazine isn't the most reputable news source, but I read it, and what they have, sounds good. It seems like, they have some sound sources, and what they're saying makes sense. But I'll just read a little bit of this article here, and then I will discuss it very quickly. So J.R.R. Tolkien's family in the Tolkien Estate have come forward to disavow the upcoming Fox Searchlight biopic that stars X-Men actor Nicholas Hoult as the iconic Lord of the Rings author. The film, titled Tolkien, is set to release next month. A statement released by both parties say they want to make clear that they did not approve of, authorize, or participate in the making of the film, and they do not endorse it or its content in any way. Basically, Tolkien's family is saying that the philosophy and all the ideas in the books are sort of being cheapened by this constant commercialization of Tolkien's name and also of his works. So let's see here. Again, this paragraph mentions how this is a movie about the formative years in Tolkien's life. And there's also a quote by Christopher Tolkien. Where is it? I can't find it. Anyway, one interesting thing that I noticed is that Fox Searchlight is owned by Disney. And I remember I saw something on the internet somewhere, I think it was on Reddit, well, it was on Reddit actually, I have it pulled up here, mentioning how Tolkien, when he sold the movie rights for The Lord of the Rings, he forbade Disney from ever becoming involved. And he said, as long as it was possible to veto anything from or influenced by the Disney studios, for all whose works I have a heartfelt loathing. So apparently Tolkien didn't really like Disney so much. That's not a topic I know so much about, but Tolkien was a very serious professor, and he taught, well, he was a linguist, and he taught at the University of Oxford. So I think he just naturally didn't like, Disney, with it being, this mass media machine just pumping out, films every now and then. I like Disney. I like older Disney. I don't like new Disney, like I've said. I don't so much like Frozen or some of the things that they put out. They just aren't the greatest stories, and they're sort of, making a tangent away from, what is useful for young people to learn and to absorb in terms of the stories that they, they consume, or the media that they consume. So anyway, let's see. I'll take a look here in the People article, and I think this has the quote from Christopher Tolkien. Let's see. The family's public denouncing of the film is not the first time they've made efforts to guard the late author's legacy. Get out of here. Let's see. Okay. Tolkien's son Christopher had previously expressed his frustration with his father's legacy, saying in 2012 that the relentless commercialization of his father's novels has reduced the aesthetic and philosophical impact of the creation to nothing. And I mean, that's pretty much what happens with a lot of great works when it's handed over to Hollywood executives, and that just seems typical. And I can't say I'm surprised by this at all. I'm upset about it because this is, the material in this movie comes from one of my most beloved childhood books and one of my favorite authors of all time. Let's see. He told a French newspaper, Le Monde, Tolkien has become a monster devoured by his own popularity and absorbed the absurdity of our time. And if I understand Christopher Tolkien, he is somebody who's pretty much devoted his life to preserving his father's legacy. Let's see. I want to see what he's done. Christopher Tolkien. So it looks like he's been the editor of much of his father's posthumously published works. He drew the original maps for his father's Lord of the Rings. I did not know that. That's interesting. Okay, so entered the Royal Air Force in 1943. Okay. All right, so it looks like he served in World War II. Or maybe, I don't know if he saw combat, but that's interesting. Maybe Christopher Tolkien is far more interesting than, we're led to believe. He seems to be out of the spotlight. Let's see. And I mean, I just can't imagine having someone like Tolkien as a father. My dad read me The Hobbit when I was young. I can't imagine having these myths and tales told to me by the actual creator of them. That must have been amazing. So he's probably a great editor in his own right, and also a great writer. All right, so yeah, it looks like he's edited a lot of his father's work. Looks like he published The Children of Hurin, which is mostly made up of Tolkien's older writings. Okay, reaction to filmed version of Tolkien's works. In 2001, he received some attention for his stance toward the Lord of the Rings film trilogy by Peter Jackson. He expressed doubts over the viability of a film interpretation that retained the essence of the work, but stressed that this was just opinion. He voiced sharper criticisms, in Le Monde, they gutted the book, making it an action film for 15 to 25-year-olds. Okay, so I think if anybody would know best, it would be the son of J.R.R. Tolkien. I like the trilogies. I thought that they were amazing. I mean, I think they were the best version of the books that could have been made. It's a movie. It's supposed to be entertaining. And so many people liked it. I think so many people, learned about the Lord of the Rings from those 3 original movies. In a sense, the trilogies are their own work of art. It's different though, because it's not like a completely original form of art. It's taking somebody else's source material and turning it into, or portraying it in a different medium. And I've had super visceral reactions watching those films, and I love them. Like when the Return of the King came out, I got on when it came out on DVD. I actually remember seeing it with my older sister in the theaters, and that was amazing. That was just so great because it was the first time I'd seen it. When it came out on DVD, I must have watched it like 10 times. There were large parts of the dialogue of that movie that I had basically memorized just through repetition of watching it over and over again. I loved it that much, and I dove into the source material as well, into the books. Let's see. In 2008, Christopher Tolkien commenced legal proceedings against New Line Cinema, which he claimed owed his family $80 million in unpaid royalties. So that's possible. 2009, he and New Line reached an undisclosed settlement, and he withdrew his legal objection to the Hobbit films. So, I don't know. There's so many different ways that a settlement can be interpreted. It makes sense to me that a film studio would try everything possible to maximize their own profit, and that sometimes means leaving the original creators by the wayside. This reminds me of another story. I think the author of Mary Poppins, he said that Disney, again, could not make a sequel to Mary Poppins as long as I think it was he or she, I can't remember, was alive. This is completely off the top of my head. And literally as soon as that person died, Disney just went ahead and created Mary Poppins 2, which just came out. I didn't see it. But, I mean, this is just a problem of, like, I mean, most people nowadays in contemporary America consume their media in the form of, you know, movies, music, YouTube, things on the internet. People aren't reading anymore. They're not getting together and telling stories. Like, I mean, the oral tradition is pretty much dead at this point. And it kind of shows. I mean, with all this rapid fire media that's being released, it's not the same. It's not as good. The way that you consume the media is different. And it's a problem. And I don't have a solution, but I know it's a problem. And I just read this on the train coming here, and I thought this would be perfect to make a video about. And I'm just going to be, you know, monitoring this movie as it goes along. I'll probably do a review of the movie, and, you know, probably have some notes. Maybe make an edited video this time instead of just me talking to my webcam. But anyway, that's what I have to say today. My name is Black Phillip, not really, but that's my username. And if you liked what you saw here, hit that like. If you loved it, subscribe. Later.